Yo, what's up guys? How is everyone doing? Today guys, we are going to be looking at two possibilities here, two main possibilities. You've seen the title of this stream, Massive Shakeout or $4,000 incoming. So obviously sentiment is pretty shit right now. Let's not try and sugarcoat it. And guys, once you get in, make sure you drop your comments. I am actively monitoring the chat. I have a much better setup to do that now, so hopefully I don't miss your messages. And I've also got notes for this one, so I'm feeling pretty good about it. And let's just go straight through it. So we had the dump last night. It was pretty bad. Obviously, we went from 75 all the way down to 67, and the low for yesterday was like 6,600. So it was pretty bad. And right now we've got a doji candle here. So just bulls and bears fighting at it, really not being able to get any meaningful price action. Marek and Daily Crypto Bed, welcome. It's great to see you guys here. So, we've had this really rough period, there really isn't any support left for Bitcoin, the way it stands. We've got one area, which is where I had my rectangle in the last stream. Let me just show you guys how that looked. This is the last sort of support, but I don't even want to call it support because it's pretty pathetic for support, honestly. We've seen bounces off in this range. If I extend this rectangle, prices have bounced off in this area, but as a support, we're looking for something a bit more long-term. So we did have the mid-year trend. That was from July, but obviously we breached that, and we've breached this line as well. So let's go ahead and delete that. And really, it's looking pretty bleak. The next support line we have starts in March. So it looks something like this. I didn't do that correctly. Yeah. So, no matter what support lines you draw, whether it's using the daily chart or even the weekly, which is probably more relevant in this trend, maybe using the log chart, no matter what you do, it looks like $4,000 is in play, and that's not good because obviously that would that would mean nearly half the price of what we're at right now, but on the bright side of it, it would mean that we're going to complete the bubble pop cycle. So you guys already know how that works. We've had this massive ride up, capitulation down to 6k, misery and depression and all that fun stuff, and then one final sort of sell off to complete the bubble pop cycle, and then we rally and maybe have some fun a little bit later. But I still lean towards the side of that not happening, and that's because we still do have this area of support which is holding up. Right now what we're seeing is really tight price consolidation right now. It's just been trading up and down, really not doing anything recently. And you can see that Bitcoin has repeatedly rejected these levels by the bears. It's always bounced up nicely. Obviously, we've got this area where it bounced off 6,000 and a little bit earlier in February where it did the same thing. It's even potentially doing the same thing right now as it did back in April, where it's going to consolidate for a little bit and then continue its way back up. That's one possibility, but what I think is much more likely than all of those things, at least for the short term. It's in times like this where the overall trend is very clear. You're either extremely bullish or extremely bearish from here. And of course, I'm extremely bullish. You guys have seen that video, but I'm still accepting the possibilities that maybe I'm wrong because, of course, you have to constantly be able to switch up your perspectives. But, this is the time where we can be doing some short-term trading. And I do like to look at short-term trends a little bit, because we can make profits whether it's going up or down. Obviously, I made a lot of profits shorting Bitcoin down from like 9,000 to where we are right now. So maybe obviously I'm bullish, but it doesn't mean I'm going to sit on the side and not make money. And so what I'm seeing right here is, actually let's go to the shorts chart for Bitcoin, and this is the Bitfinex one. Switch back to the daily chart. Bitcoin shorts are pretty high right now, and for those of you who don't know what that means, a Bitcoin short is where you place a short. It's an order where you say that Bitcoin is going to go lower in the future, and if it does, you get really good profits because you're trading with more money than you have. But if it doesn't go low and it in fact goes higher than where you entered your short, you get liquidated, and that means you lose all of your position. And that's what bots like to do. So obviously you guys should know by now, bots are really dominating the markets right now. If we switch to Bitcoin's 1 minute chart, we can see evidence of that everywhere. I mean, this kind of tight pattern of trading, testing the liquidation levels up and down, and you know, making a decision when it's time to go and liquidate some shorts or longs. That's what will happen with the bots. And so obviously they like to, where's that chart? They like to liquidate shorts, and shorts are pretty high right now. It's, you know, it's among the highest levels we've seen for a while, and if we look at the daily RSI, I know you can't really do technical analysis on this, but the RSI is just that, you know, it's the relative strength indicator, and so we can see the relative strength of shorts, and it's overbought right now. I mean, there's way too many of them at the moment for what we're looking at, and I think that means the bots will be looking to liquidate these, get a short squeeze in, and so with the short-term trend that I mentioned I want to profit off, I think it's extremely clear. You know, the RSI is on the floor right now on the 4-hour, and on the daily we've got a 30 RSI, 30.08. You know, whenever Bitcoin has been at a 30 RSI, February the 6th, early April, you know, when is this, September, every single time it's been at a 30 RSI, Bitcoin has bounced off really well. And so at the very least, I'm expecting a rising wedge here. And, you know, to go over what a rising wedge is, this is where, you know, you've got a downtrend. So obviously it's pretty clear we've got this downtrend here. And within that downtrend, you rise with low volume. And then, you know, suddenly someone will, you know, market sell and you know, start closing those positions, liquidate positions and all that good stuff. So that's what a rising wedge looks like. You know, you go down, you consolidate, you go upwards, and then there's a massive sell again with volume. So at the very least, I think that's what's going to happen. What is also likely, I'm not crossing this out, is this rising wedge playing out. I think it's gonna, if it works, I think it's gonna hit either 7,000 or 7,200. I will be longing Bitcoin if I get a good opportunity to do so in these areas, so that I can catch that rising wedge. I think it's going to be playing out over the course of this week. I don't know exactly when. It might not even be today, but I do see it happening. I mean, it doesn't work for Bitcoin to constantly be going down like this. So I think a rising wedge is definitely in play, and it's something you want to be looking out for. Now, after that, it could very well go down to 6,400, and that's our final support line. So guys, in my last stream, I mentioned that if it does hit 6,400 and it doesn't bounce, and it just breaks through it and it goes lower, my stance has pretty much completely changed. If we go below 6,400, I did say I'll be looking at the low 5,000 levels after that, because 5,000 is a nice round number in terms of the psychological factors, but even then, that mega Bitcoin bull run video I made, it still applies even if Bitcoin goes down to 2,000 or even 1,000, because we were looking at the major sort of log trend. So let's go over to the Bitfinex chart. I'm on the wrong Bitfinex chart there, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, my bad. That's what I meant to say. Alright. Sorry, that's going to haunt me for a while now. So, you know, we go over to this log chart, and I was talking about this massive bull flag that we're in. So even if we do go down to, you know, whatever it is, let's say it's $4,000, it's still, is this 4,000? I mean, that's about, yeah, what we're looking at. It still comes within this massive bull flag, so it doesn't really matter how low Bitcoin goes. And I think a lot of people miss the point of the video, which is that the bottom is near, and this bull run is going to be huge. So let me go through these comments now. I've been ignoring you guys. I'm really sorry about that. Is the downturn because of the SEC scaring people about securities or currencies? No. It might be a reason for some people selling in panic, but I doubt it's got anything to do with it. The SEC has been in the news for a long time. I want to buy 100 Bitcoin. Where can I buy? Can I find a seller here? I'm not sure if you're being serious. The best easiest place to buy is always on Coinbase or whatever. So you know, you can even use local bitcoins if you want to meet someone in person, but you run a pretty big risk of getting stabbed. Can you short on Binance? No, you can't. It's Bitfinex and BitMEX mainly. There are a few others as well. What are your thoughts on Bitcoin mining price versus Bitcoin price? That's a really good question, Morton. Thanks for asking. Same with gold. Gold don't go below mining costs, at least not for long. So yeah, that's a good thing to point out. Look, as for Bitcoin's mining price, I don't think that's going to determine its price. I mean, it's going to be a source of, let's go back to Coinbase chart. It's going to be a source of support, you know, that you're going to find a little bit of support there. Obviously, we've already seen that because our final support line here, you know, before 4,000 is $6,000, 59.50, which is where we bottomed out on the on February the 5th. So that's, you know, around $6,000. That's where a lot of countries, because of their electricity costs, stop being able to mine Bitcoin at a profit. So it will act as some support, but it will be very light. It's not a good reason to have support. And much more so than that, you know, the reason I don't think the mining price is going to be very important is people know that in the future, at least the people mining it, the people with faith in Bitcoin. Oh yeah, and that reminds me, not financial advice. The people who think that Bitcoin is going to go back up to maybe 20,000, 25, whatever, even 12,000, they will happily keep on mining it all the way down from, you know, below 6,000 to 4,000, 3,000, 2,000, however low it goes. And what you're going to see is that as it goes lower, you'll get less miners, but the miners will still be sticking around mining it even at a loss, just because of the future price that it might go up to. No, I don't want a direct seller. You want a direct seller, not an exchange. Yeah, so local Bitcoin is what you want. Your bottom prediction was right off. Why are right now? Didn't get you. Yeah, I mean, look, the bottom prediction is it was a relative thing, so a lot of people are blowing that way out of context. If anyone, okay, you can stop shilling your transaction now. We can trade on local Bitcoin. Average mining price, yes, $6,000, like I mentioned. Getting stabbed. You can do it online, yes, but for 100 Bitcoins, we're talking about $700,000 or $670,000 now. So, you know, if you're buying that much online, you're gonna have some awkward questions. So I mean that's more of an over-the-counter transaction, I think. But I mean that's my stance on Bitcoin right now, guys. You know, I see that we could be having further downwards movement to about 6,400, and it's really a wait and see thing. You know, I'm going to be looking at it to see if it dips to 6,400, and then really what's the next step after that. You know, 6,400, and then like I said, 6,000 isn't really a good support. So if we dip below that, really I have to completely reevaluate my midterm sort of look on Bitcoin. But of course, my long-term outlook hasn't changed. I've never felt more sure of this price action, where like I said, I feel like I know exactly what's happening with Bitcoin here, and that is that it's going to be going up. So, yes, there is a very real possibility that we dip even lower, especially since we are still in this downtrend, and even this rising wedge did fail to play out, so I can see us rallying upwards to like 72, like I said. Maybe over the course of the next week, let the RSI go into neutral territory, and then we'll continue our way downwards. If we do, you know, right now, I'll be honest, it doesn't look like we have the strength for a V-shaped correction, you know, to really go bull from here. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a way off. But, you know, guys, if you saw my Telegram post, there was a really important point I made there, which is, you know, why I've also titled this video, you know, massive shakeout. Like I showed you this shorts chart. There's a very important distinction to be made here, and it's that, you know, retail traders tend to get wrecked very often because, you know, the retail just can't always win. Crypto isn't a zero-sum game, that's true, but, you know, to a point, there's also going to be people winning and people losing because those other people are winning, right? So retail investors are always those people who lose, and it's because, you know, they don't have the right experience, they don't have the right mental skills. It's very hard to develop. And of course, the experience comes with just losing money, so not everyone can be at the top of the game. Mark B asking about my Telegram group. It's in the description, so it's one of the first links you'll see. Crypto Mafia Gold, definitely check that out. And you know, like I said, so with this sentiment thing, everyone's being extremely bearish. since this bubble pop, I mean, I don't think I've seen such strong sentiment going downwards. We've even got very well respected technical analysts feeling like it's pretty much dead now and they should exit and maybe re-enter at like $4,000. And it's when the hardened people will turn around that we usually get some form of reversal. So this happens every time. It's just that, with such a massive rise and such a massive drop down, the pain will be pretty real and pretty hard to deal with. So, it's even possible that breaking this line of support, which we had yesterday, was a shakeout, right? And maybe tomorrow we get sent over every single resistance line in a massive pump, like on April the 12th. I think it's very possible. I'm not banking on it, but right now for the short term, I think it's clear we're going to be rising up at least a little bit before we continue our way down, if we do. What are your thoughts on these wild predictions lately? Thomas Lee, year-end 25,000, John McAfee 1 million. What's your stance on year-end price? That's a tricky question. As for, let me tackle these separately. So you've got 25k from Thomas Lee. I think it's possible, like I said, if this turns out to be just another bull flag, which looks extremely likely to me, 25,000 is in play. The difference here is people only want to get into Bitcoin if it's rising. If we get a lot of green volume, we look back at the volume trend here, and the volume gradually increases in the green while Bitcoin's price increases. So people are only interested in Bitcoin when its value goes up, and what that's going to mean, what it requires from us, I guess, is a pretty good heavy green price action where we start making profits, and then the average Joe decides to jump back into Bitcoin as well, that kind of thing. And until then, this FOMO action won't be coming in. When we go higher to maybe $10,000 or $9,000, you're going to have a few people who feel really burnt out taking that opportunity to sell. And so it's hard to say where we're going to be at the end of the year, because this can really go on for a long time. But 25,000 seems likely. As for $1 million, I think that's more of a publicity thing, honestly. I mean, John McAfee is even running for president of the US, because God knows anyone can now, but he's doing it for awareness, to raise awareness for cryptocurrencies in general. That's one of his reasons, as far as I know. And so I think, his 1 million prediction is off. I mean, $1 million would, at that point it becomes such a significant thing that the US dollar would start, being less relevant. And I just don't see that happening. I don't see crypto ever taking over the fiat systems. Blockchain will always be, heavily influential in the industries, but cryptocurrency I don't think is ever going to overtake fiat in any way. So 1 million is not in play for me. And as for my end of year stance, I have no idea. I'm just going at this day by day, making profits as we go up and as we go down. That's really been my stance here. So yeah, let's go over to the crypto market cap page now and just see what's going on for a quick look. Just wait for these to load up. So yeah, we've got a 296 billion market cap. I mean, look, it's the same as yesterday. We like you've already seen with this candle, it's basically not moved at all. So we've really got limited price movement in this area, and volume has stayed relatively high, which is good. Yesterday we reached something like 19 billion from a low of like 12 billion. So this is pretty good to see 17, but it's still not high enough. And obviously we've got increased volume in the wrong direction, so that's not a good sign either. But I do see this volume drying out very quickly and going back down to maybe $13-12 billion areas while we rise up in this rising wedge. I think is definitely that's going to play out. Bitcoin dominance, this could continue to rise if alts continue to get liquidated into Bitcoin. But what could also happen is that as we form this rising wedge, the overall market cap goes up as well, which of course would happen with Bitcoin, but that would mean money goes into Bitcoin and the rest of these alts, and so dominance could stay the same or even fall. I have no idea what could happen in that respect. You know, when we have a rising wedge, you could see alts playing out a little bit stronger than Bitcoin, but it's really not something to bank on. I think right now is when you want to be holding Bitcoin, because, you know, if we do suddenly drop to 6,400 and fall through these support lines, you need to be on it, because alts are going to really suffer. You know, this is, you know, I always point this out. Bitcoin's 24-hour change is basically nothing, zero, whereas you know, everything else is largely losing, not by much, you know, 2 to 5% for each coin, but it's worse than Bitcoin, 0%. So this is the time where you want to be having a strong Bitcoin allocation, and of course, you would have known that if you've been reading the Telegram posts. And you know, on that note, obviously, we have got VIP open now, so if you guys are interested in joining, we are making profit even with these trends. You're gonna get, you know, in times like this, I love to give very specific advice for things like the bear market. So if you hit me up, I'm gonna give you a list of the benefits. One of those things is advice on how to survive these bear markets, because it doesn't mean you have to be losing money. We're always making money, whether it's going up or down. You know, the only times we don't make money is in a stalemate like this, because, you know, no one's making money here apart from very few select small caps that are too risky to be touching anyway at these times. And so, you know, surviving bear markets like this is harsh mentally, but in terms of your portfolio going down or even staying the same, it doesn't have to be that way. So that's one of the things that we cover in VIP. But with that, guys, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much done. If you are interested in those things, definitely make sure to hit up the description and join the Telegram channel. I post things daily there. I'm aiming to do multiple posts a day now as well. But really, you guys know my sentiment here. I still feel like this could be a massive shakeout, but I think it's very likely that we form a rising wedge up to 7,000 or 7,200, and then break down again to 6,400. And this is really something where I need to be watching it day by day. My stance is going to be changing a lot over the course of this next week or so. I think I'm just predicting that because we really need to see, if we go down to 6,400, how do we go down there? Is it with volume? Is it, you know, with all these different variables? We need to know those things beforehand. Jacob, I see your question there. Jacob, sorry. Just message me on Telegram. I'll send you all the details. And yeah, guys, that's me done for today. Well, let's read this last comment. It seems like a death spiral of Bitcoin start moving up in a wedge formation. Yes, it would be. What would a preferred move up look like? Just heard of your club just now. Tell me more. Do you provide sell and buy signals? So I'll go through those questions in order. What would I prefer as a move up? The best case scenario right now is a big pump, you know, by one guy or one group of guys or girls, like we had on April 12th, which sent us from these levels all the way up to $8,000. That's the best case scenario right now, and that's a terrible bet to be putting your money on, because, you know, that can literally happen at any time. Of course, I said the likelihood is higher than normal now, since shorts are extremely high, and that would liquidate all of these shorts. But apart from that, there's no other way that I can see Bitcoin climbing up higher from where it's at right now. It is going to take some pretty heavy manipulation to get it there. And as for my club, yeah, sell and buy signals. The buy signals go to VIP first, and then some of them get sent to gold, but all of the sell signals stay in VIP. So for gold, it's up to you to decide when to sell, but with VIP, we like to give guidelines and alerts when we hit sell prices, you know, resistance points and all that stuff. But that is me done. Yeah, I mean, 4,000, is it realistic? Yes, it is, if we continue this bubble pop. But I've done my outro like 5 times. I'm really going now. So make sure you hit that like button if you have enjoyed this live stream or video, and subscribe, of course, if you're new around here. Tick the bell so you don't miss out on any videos. But with that, guys, I am out. Peace.